Taped from New Jersey, it's the SNL Nerds, the show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out about Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
And I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
Hey, Darren!
How you doing, John? We made it! We did it!
Yeah, new season, season 49. And you know what? Since we're starting a new season of SNL, this is officially 5th anniversary of the podcast.
Oh, yeah, it is! Huh.
Yeah!
I didn't even realize it. Wow. This podcast has been chugging along for 5 whole years.
5 years, baby. Woo!
We should get in the 5 Timers Club. We should get jackets and stuff. Frank.
Yeah, let's just bump elbows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're great.
You're great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll get the smoking jackets next.
Yes, Frank, Mr. Hablawi, the Lauren Michaels of the podcast. We look forward to receiving those smoking jackets in the mail. Anytime.
Yes, I am an extra large.
Yes, I am a svelte extra large.
Yes.
There's no nice way to say it. Yeah, I'm extra large. Yeah.
So anyway, after a long time away from talking about the actual show, Saturday Night Live, which is nominally the subject of this podcast, we're back with a new season of SNL because SNL is back. And we figured it was a good time to come back and start talking about SNL again.
Yeah, no, how was this for you? Was it trying to get back into the groove of, breaking down the episode, rewatching the sketch? Were you able to get back into it?
It's always a little weird when we're starting up a new season, kind of adjusting myself to that routine again. Because during the summer hiatus, I get very used to us just watching a movie, and sometimes I'm taking notes throughout, sometimes I don't, sometimes I'm just going by memory, and then it always hits me. It's like, oh yeah, we have to get back to watching the show and talking about individual sketches and taking notes on each sketch, and sometimes watching sketches more than once to make sure you get everything down, and you watch the Weekend Update more than once to make sure you get all the notable jokes and moments and stuff and all that, and you read up online, and I just remembered, hey, I didn't look up the writers for this week's episode, so I'm going to try and do that right now while you talk about how it is for you.
Yeah, it's the same thing. You just got to rewatch everything. I mean, because the way I usually, a little peek behind the curtain here. The way I usually do it is, I watch the first time and I write down my first reactions to everything. Oh, this sketch was funny. Oh, that was hilarious. Yeah. Oh, that happened. Just my first off the first reactions right off the rip. And then the next morning I'll go back and rewatch the clips on YouTube to sort of maybe get all the things I missed the first time, and just really get more in depth so I can have a more meatier insight.
Yeah, that's basically what I do. I do try to record my first impressions of most every sketch, but I also don't want to get so caught up in taking notes that I'm not paying attention to the show. So yeah, right. There is a weird balance there. Yeah,
right, very much so. So, but yeah, just getting back to the swing of things. It was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember this. This is what I used to do. All right.
Yeah. And, since we had the writers and the actor strike happening, we were basically, I don't want to say off for 4 months, but we were doing other things for 4 months. We were talking about SNL movies for the most part.
Right.
So, yeah, this is the longest we've been away from talking about Saturday Night Live and sketches and stuff.
Yeah. So, let's get into it. Let's get back into the swing of things. Let's get back into doing what this podcast was all about, what we normally do.
It's what we do, yes. And for if you don't know, if you didn't read the title of this podcast before you started listening to it, we're talking about season 49, episode 1 from October 14th, 2023, with Pete Davidson hosting and Ice Spice as the musical guest.
Petey Daves and Icy Spice.
Yeah. It's always kind of fun when an SNL alum comes back to host.
Yeah. He was supposed to host back in May, but of course the strike happened, and that just threw a monkey wrench in everything. So now he's opening up season 49 with him coming back. And it actually makes more sense, I feel like, to have him on now than it did back in May. Because, I know you feel like it's a little too soon for him to be coming back because he literally left a season ago. And which, yeah, I mean, you could say that it does feel like a little too soon, but like after this big break we've had and everything that's been going on in between, and all the madness we've been falling into, it is a good way I feel like to start this new season with a familiar face that can like sort of ease us into this new era of SNL and just like maybe talk about like the world in general too and like all the
Yeah,
insanity.
I agree with you. I think he does work well as a host for the season premiere because it is nice to have a familiar face there, and yeah, kind of ease you back into the new season of SNL and after some time away. And I'm sure the cast really appreciated it too, that they don't have to like break in a new person. You know, it's somebody who knows how things work there and can
Right.
just kind of fall into the machinery.
Yes. Welcome to the machine. Okay.
So, all right, should we dive in?
Let's dive in. Cold open.
Cold open.
Ooh.
It's really just Pete Davidson talking directly to the camera about the horrific attacks that we had this week in Gaza and all of that stuff.
Yeah, like I mean honestly when I was kind of wondering if they would bring this up on the show, like the
Yeah,
horrible atrocities that's been happening in Israel, Palestine, Hamas, because
yeah.
like it is something you can't really joke about. And
It's yeah.
mm,
There's not really a good avenue to make jokes about it because
no,
it's just so horrible and so horrific, and
yeah,
it's
and
like comedy kryptonite. And
yeah,
so I think it was a good call to just do like a low key opening, address it, and he had a couple mild jokes in there. He was talking about, well, who better to address this than Pete Davidson? And he
yes,
was like, well, but actually, I kind of am a decent choice because my dad died in a terrorist attack when I was a kid, and if you don't know, his father was a first responder at 9/11, and so he talked about that. He talked about how his mom was trying to do anything to make him feel better when he was a kid, and she bought him the Eddie Murphy album Delirious because like she thought it was a kids movie.
I don't see how you could think that because yeah, it's folks who if you haven't heard Eddie Murphy Delirious, it is not a kids movie.
No, not really. No.
No, 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 no. God no.
But it was a big thing for him because it was the first thing that really made him laugh after his dad passed. So and he said something that I thought was really profound, where he said comedy is the only way forward through tragedy, and I think that's very true. And I think that when something huge and horrible happens, like what's been happening uh, in Israel and Palestine and all that. People do turn to shows like SNL for like a bit of relief and a bit of solace.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah. I mean, I mean, I can't really, I guess, rate this cold open just because like it's like a thing where, it's like very heartfelt and honest about
mhm.
how comedy helps people get through things. And of course, like you said, like Pete throws in a few jokes here, like talking about how on the show he's going to try to be funny in the face of adversity.
Yeah,
Remember, I said try.
try is the operative word, and yeah, and that's all you can do. I'm glad they didn't go real mawkish and maudlin with it because I don't like it too much when SNL does that, and it seems like they do it more and more in recent years.
Yeah, like I know. I mean, the most recent one I could think of is when the Ukraine war started, and they had
Hmm.
the chorus, the choral choir.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when there was the attack at Charlie Hebdo. They had Cicely and who was singing with her?
Uh, was it Shasir Zameda? Maybe.
I was trying to remember if it was during Shashir's time on the show or not, and I think it was. Um, and of course, probably the most famous one is their first show back after 9/11, where they had Rudy Giuliani and all the first responders with him.
Right.
And
Well, I mean, there's also the other one where after the 2016 election, and we had Kate singing "Hallelujah" on the piano, which very,
yeah,
very, very polarizing. That one.
that was that was a bit much in my mind.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I hear you.
I don't have anything more to say about that.
Okay, yeah, no,
So
I think you're gonna say something like really profound. Okay,
no, I would. That was just me mulling over. Like, do I want to get into this more? No.
now let's. Okay,
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I like the show when it's funny, not so much when it, tries to be touching or profound. But I think it was a good choice for this week's show.
yeah, and a super short cold open, like almost two
Hmm.
minutes. That's it.
I think
And
that's
then,
all I needed, and I think that's also part of why I liked this more was because they didn't make a meal out of it. It wasn't
yeah,
like this big 5-minute production or something like that.
right. No, yeah, it's good. Just address it. Talk about it, saying we're gonna try to make you laugh in the face of
Yeah,
all these horrible atrocities,
and then
and
move
yeah,
on
yeah,
and do the comedy show that people came to see. So,
yeah,
and I think that was a good choice.
absolutely. And there was also a couple of changes happening in the opening credits because we get to see our new cast member, uh,
Yes, indeed.
Chloe Trost, Jersey's own, the
Yes,
pride of Hohokus,
yes.
and it's such fun to say that name,
Ho
Hohokus.
hocus. Yes, it is.
And also something else that happened I didn't expect to see is the PDD boys are in the opening credits now too.
Yeah, yeah. They say and a film by Please Don't Destroy. I wonder if that's going to be in the show every week now, or if it's only going to be featured on the shows where they make it to air or something.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's a thought that just occurred to me
Yeah, no, it makes
right
sense.
now.
It kind of reminded me of like when Smigel was on the show, and they were like, "And a film
Hmm.
by Robert Smigel."
Yeah,
So
and I think thinking back on that, they only did that on the weeks where Smigel was featured.
yeah, so maybe they'll
I
do
don't think he
that.
was ever. Yeah, I don't think he was ever featured every single week. But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so maybe I mean, unless the PDD boys are able to have something that gets on the show every time, every show.
I'd be
Uh,
cool with that, honestly.
I would. I mean, I thought, well, I'll peek a little peek behind the curtain. I thought like their pre-tape was probably the best thing on the show. Honestly, this
Ooh, ooh, ooh! Wow, wow! Darren already declaring his sketch of the week.
I
Wow,
I
I did
think
not see that coming.
that's right.
Spoiler alert!
No, you never see me. I'm like the Spanish Inquisition. You never see me coming.
Wow,
No
wow!
one expects the Spanish
I
Inquisition.
mean, should we even go on? Good lord,
No,
what the heck?
I, that's right. Hot takes, Patrick.
Wow. Okay.
That's
Okay.
right.
And also, we should note that James Austin Johnson and Sarah Sherman are both up front in the credits now because they are both officially full members of the cast.
Yeah,
So that's nice to see.
yeah. It was. I mean, yeah, it feels right. It feels right.
Yeah, it was. There's always that little anticipation right before a season premiere. You're like, oh, are we going to get a whole new opening, or are they going to stick with the one they had for another year? And they stuck with the one they had for another year, which I'm fine with because I really like the current opening.
Yeah, I mean, it's also pretty new too. It doesn't even feel that old. This new opening.
It's not more than 2 years old. I think I can't. It's all such a blur. I can't remember if they started this opening last year or the year before.
Yeah, like I don't see them
They
changing.
started it on Cicely's last season because I remember her
Yes,
being added like a few weeks after the season started. So
right.
what was
Yeah,
that? That was like 2 seasons ago, then, right?
yeah. So it's still fairly new. Like I don't see them changing this
Right.
opening until another huge turnover with the cast. Honestly.
Well, I don't know. They seem to change it up every 3 years or so. That
Yeah.
seems like a good amount of time.
Okay. Yeah, I
I
guess so.
think.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We'll see. All right, we'll see what
But
happens.
I like this show. I mean, it's got like little gags I like Dismuke's stealing. I like Chloe sprawled out on the piano,
Hey now.
Punky jumping on the bed. Um, there's a lot of fun stuff in there.
Yeah, nice little fun visuals. I dig it. I dig
Hmm.
it, baby.
Yeah, yeah, and it's colorful and stuff. It's one of the better openings I've had in recent years, I think.
I'll agree.
Yeah. All
I'll
right.
agree.
Next we have the Pete Davidson monologue. Again, always did the thing that I love, where he comes out, they hand him a hand mic,
Yup.
which is kind of extra funny in this case because like he didn't have a hand mic for the cold open like 2 minutes before,
Yeah.
but he's doing stand up, so of course he has to have a hand mic.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna do my stand up now.
Yeah. He was like, I'm just gonna dive into it, and it felt all to God like we were like watching him in a mic.
It really felt like an open mic. I swear to.
I mean, in the best possible way. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
mean by saying it felt like an open mic. I don't mean it was like amateurish by any stretch of the imagination. It was a very polished stand-up set. You could tell he had done this on stage a lot.
yeah. This set felt like this he had definitely done it before. Like,
Yeah, because I mean, he knew where all the laughs were. He knew, how the story should flow. He had little act outs and stuff, and that's not the sort of thing you usually see on SNL where somebody's doing a monologue that was written maybe a day before.
yeah, for sure. So basically his set is going into about him trying to bond with his sister, and then them
Hmm.
watching Game of Thrones for the first time, and of course him not realizing that Game of Thrones full of incest.
Yeah, yeah. He's like hardly any dragons, tons of incest.
And yeah, folks, if you've never seen Game of Thrones, he's not joking around. Like, I've only seen the first episode.
Uh
Game of
huh.
Thrones, very first episode, brother and sister banging. Very first
Yeah.
episode. Oh,
I don't know why I was so enthusiastic
yeah,
about
I
that,
was
but
about to
that
say.
just seemed the way to respond.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
All right. Okay. I'm not here to
um,
king shame. But yeah, just bro and sis, just hard riding.
okay, we don't need like a blow by blow, Darren.
Blow by blow.
I don't need to know all the ins and outs of the Game of Thrones incest.
Just
Um,
ins and
it's
outs.
enough for me to know that there is incest on the show.
I'm
That's
just
fine.
saying, John, just thrusting away. Hard
Okay. Okay.
hard and wet.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay. All right.
and yeah, he talks about how awkward that is watching that with his sister, and that's a funny bit. That's a funny premise, and I like that. I was very amused by when he mentioned that he was from Staten Island. We got the world's most pathetic applause break
Yeah.
for Staten Island. It was like three people in the audience, like, and that was it. It was so pathetic. I loved it.
Oh, Staten Island. No one really cares about you.
Yeah, and he talked about how he was having sex right before his very first stand up show. I guess this had to be somewhere in his teens because we know he started stand up as his teens, as we'll see later on in the show.
Right.
And
Yeah, he mentioned he was having sex in his car because in Staten Island that's like having a condo.
yeah, yeah, and
His
then he remembered that he had the stand up show right after, so he was like he finished, and then he was like, "Oh no, I gotta go." Um, and the girl that he was with said the Swedish slash funniest thing to him is like, "Oh, it's so cool that you're doing stand up. Like, no, go 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 go. Someday I'll be watching TV with my husband, and I'll see you, and I'll be like, hey, I used to bang that guy."
yeah.
Which so funny. I love that even right after they were with each other, she was like, "Yeah, I'm not marrying this guy."
Yeah, exactly. Like, this ain't love.
I'm gonna get married just someday. All I know is it's not gonna be with you.
Yeah. But then the joke takes this really dark turn where he talks about how that girl died of a drug overdose 2 years later. And I thought that
Yeah,
was part of the joke, but then it was like, no, she actually did die 2 years. And
yeah.
you can hear everybody in the audience being like, oh
Yeah,
God.
yeah. And then he says that he found out about this when he was watching TV with his girlfriend.
And saying
And he was like, "Hey, I used to bang her," which uh, you know, funny ironic twist. Very
yeah,
dark, but
quite dark.
but still very very funny.
Yeah. So not a bad monologue, not a bad way to kick things off.
Yeah, this was good. I honestly haven't seen much of Pete Davidson's stand up. I knew that he was a stand up, of course, but I haven't watched any of his specials or anything. And
Yeah.
so I watched this and I was like, this was really good. He's a better stand up than I might have guessed. And
Yeah.
I was like, I would go see him. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. This
I
was
mean,
good stuff.
I think that's something they even mentioned really quickly, and well, we'll talk about later. But the "I'm Just Pete" pre-tape,
Yeah,
like he talks about how he's a celebrity for everything except his comedy, and yeah, it is a
yeah,
thing where like we know everything about Pete except his actual stand-up comedy, his jokes, which is
yeah,
that's
yeah. That
uh,
is
yeah,
that's got to sting a bit.
a
So
little
yeah,
bit. Yeah, I mean, I know he does have specials out. He has like a Comedy Central special that's been out for years. I think he has like a
he has one called "Alive from New York," which I always thought was a clever title because it wasn't. I think too long after he had his suicide attempt.
yeah, like that came out on Netflix, and it's been out for a
Hmm.
while. But yeah, like it's weird. Like he's a comedian, but he's not known for his comedy. which
Yeah.
is that's weird, man. That's wild.
Well, yeah.
Mm.
Guys
But
lived a life.
yeah, that's true. He's fine. He's in Super Bowl commercials. He's gonna be all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, all right. So
Speaking
let's
of
get
Super Bowl,
into
yeah.
what's that?
Speaking of Super Bowl,
Oh, yeah. Hey, good transition there.
heyo.
First sketch Fox NFL Sunday.
Hmm.
Uh, we got the boys. I'm afraid we don't have writer credits for most everything that was in the show this week, so we're not going to give too many. But kudos to all the writers this week.
Yes, yes.
Um, so we got. I didn't write down the breakdown of everybody.
I got you, son.
We had Molly as Terry Bradshaw. I remember that. We
Yeah.
had Mikey
Devin.
Day as Howie Long,
Yes.
which
Uh,
which always kind of amuses me because Mikey Day's like this skinny guy and Howie Long is like this big, huge football guy.
yeah. I guess as far as guys go, Mikey's the most manly white guy we have on the show right now. I guess.
I I hadn't thought of it in that terms. I just thought like they could give him that Howie Long haircut pretty easily. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of funny because I remember like reading Wizard magazine back in the '90s, and like Howie Long was always the guy that cast as Venom in their casting call feature.
Ooh,
So
interesting.
that gives you an idea of how Howie Long is built if you're a
Oh,
comic fan and you don't follow sports like me.
like a brick shit house, that guy.
Yep, and that was
Uh,
probably the first place I ever heard of Howie Long.
yeah. So Keenan is Kurt Menefee.
Okay.
J.A.J. as Jimmy Johnson. And
Hmm.
yeah, you said there. It's Michael Strahan is Devin Walker, Bradshaw is Molly, and Howie Long, Mikey Day.
Yeah, and they're reporting on the football game. I liked the Keenan's line early on about how the New York Jets were cursed by a warlock 1,000 years ago.
Yes.
That was cute. And the gag quickly develops that they are just talking about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey.
Yes, because as we all know, like it's been in the news quite a bit, like that.
They're dating now.
Are they officially dating, or because like they haven't? Oh, now we're turning into the sketch right as we speak. Because
We kind of are. I thought it was just that they are dating. I mean, because she's going to his games and stuff like that, and that seems like a thing you only do if you're in it.
that's true. Like, I mean, I don't think either one of them has officially said that they're dating, but like they have been appearing together quite a bit. So like, I don't know if this is just them just feeling it out to see how it works or how it feels, or maybe they're just fucking around with everybody in the paparazzi and NFL. Because it does seem like that. Because like the
That
big
seems like a lot of effort to go to just fuck around with the paparazzi.
maybe I don't know it because
I mean, just like if you're fucking around with the paparazzi, like what you do what the Harry Potter actor, what's his face,
oh
did.
Radcliffe.
Yeah, where he was wearing this literally the same outfit every day when he was leaving his show, so that the photos would be worthless because it wouldn't be obvious that they were new. Um,
Ah,
which epic trolling.
that's
But
good.
yeah, but like going to somebody's games and going to, I mean, are they going to events? Are they doing, or is it just her showing up to games?
It's just her showing. From what I can tell, it's just her showing up at games. Like basically, so the main thing is like the Chiefs were playing. I don't even remember the other team's name, but like the media and the NFL seem to be more focused on the fact that Taylor Swift was there, sitting next to Travis Kelsey's mom
Uh
in
huh.
the skybox,
Okay. Yeah.
than they were commenting on the actual game. And then
Right.
like the next game that the Chiefs were playing with Travis Kelsey. Like Taylor Swift was again in the skybox with Travis Kelsey's mom, and she also brought Hugh Jackman and
As you do.
yeah, as you do, and Ryan Reynolds with his wife Blake Lively were there, and like it seemed like all
Right.
the focus was on that rather than the
Well, I
actual game.
think, yeah, I think if you're attending events with Wolverine and Deadpool, you are officially dating. I think that is the rule.
I guess so. I mean, I know the NFL loves it, all the attention that they're giving it, because like honestly, because they did mention that yeah, like now that the Taylor Swift has kind of taken over the NFL, like the NFL has seen an uptick in like viewership with like teenage girls and
Hmm.
like women in their 20s, and Travis Kelsey's jersey sales have actually gone up like 400% or something like
Yeah,
that.
I did hear that. I did hear that, and yeah, it's kind of it's amazing and kind of it may be almost frightening, like the power and the influence that Taylor Swift has these days, because she's just so huge. Like I also read that she got like thousands, it might be like tens or hundreds of thousands of her fans to like register to vote, which
Yeah,
that's so wonderful.
yeah,
But
like
yeah, it's
yeah,
like everything she does is huge because she is just so huge.
yeah. She wields she wields power over her army, which is many and plentiful. It,
Yeah, we just hope that she continues to be a benevolent dictator.
yes,
Um,
I for one welcome a Taylor Swift monarchy.
our new Taylor Swift
Overlord.
overlords.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so like the gag quickly was like, I think Mikey as Howie Long was like, "Hey, sorry, Taylor Swift's not at this game, Swifties," and then and then they very quickly are just only talking about Taylor Swift, and it quickly comes out that they are just as devoted to Taylor Swift as anybody else, and
Yeah.
like Howie Long even has like the little candy bracelets of all the concerts he's gone to.
Right. Exactly. Coach. I guess I mean, like at one point in the sketch, they kind of get really kind of in depth with like stuff only Taylor Swift fans would know, like the
Right.
bracelet and
Hmm.
how she was dating I guess Matt Healy, the lead singer from 1975,
Yeah,
and like how this one song's about Joe and
I think that was Joe Jonas, because didn't she used to date Joe Jonas
I
from the
think
Jonas Brothers?
I think I listeners, I swear I don't know. Like I don't
I
know any of
really
these.
should have consulted with the podcast's unofficial official Taylor Swift consultant, Renee Naden, um, who is I go to for all my T Swift questions,
Mm.
and as a 51-year-old man, I have lots of them. I really should have checked with her and gotten the straight skinny on this. But
Yes.
and they're talking about, like, when they're talking about the concerts they went to, she was like, "Oh, what was the secret song that she did?" And I guess that's the thing that she does in her concerts. Um, and we cut to Pete Davidson. He's a sideline reporter. He's dressed as a Swiftie. He's in like the pink sparkly cowboy hat, kind of like. Didn't they have somebody in that in the Barbie movies? In the
Uh,
Barbie movie,
yeah, yeah. In the Barbie movie, there was one point where Barbie dressed up like as a cowboy in a pink hat
right?
stuff. But I guess that's a Taylor Swift thing now too.
I
I
guess, yeah.
uh,
Or maybe they were just trying to make him look girly. I'm not exactly sure. And then at the very end, we've got a Travis Kelsey cameo.
yeah, Travis Kelsey comes out of nowhere and be like, "Hey guys, what's up?" Everybody,
Yeah,
audience screams, sketch ends.
and we actually hear the audience scream a little early because, like, before he was shown on camera, because obviously they show him, they saw him stepping out onto the stage. So yeah,
Right,
it's kind of unusual. Usually SNL is pretty good at those reveals, and here it was. They they spilled the beans a little early, I guess.
little bit, little bit.
So I mean, but this was cute.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Like you can kind of tell they kind of put it together, maybe because it'd go viral because people Google Taylor Swift and this would pop up and get some shares and stuff. It's just
Wow, you
I
think they're that shameless, huh?
I think the NFL does it, so why wouldn't they do it?
Yeah, true, true.
I'm
Why
just
not?
saying.
Yeah, hop on that Taylor Swift train.
It's a numbers game, baby. Play the
Look,
game.
if we could have Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift cameo on this podcast, we'd do it.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yep.
We have no shame.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely. We have desperately been wanting to sell out for 5 years now. No one will give us a chance.
It's been 5 years, people. We're in year 5. Come on.
We are beyond wanting to compromise our principles. I
Yes.
mean, come on.
Just make us an offer. Any offer.
We need some payola, okay?
Yes. Exactly. We're dying here.
Lauren, if you want to pay us to only say good things about the show, we will do it.
We will shill like no one's ever shilled before.
Absolutely.
Oh, forget it. Forget about it.
Anyway, speaking of the Barbie movie, which I was a few seconds ago, our next sketch is a pre-tape called "I'm Just Pete," which is a parody of the "I'm Just Ken" song from the Barbie movie, which I still haven't seen.
Yeah, check it out. It's streaming now, or you can listen to the episode we did about it a couple
Oh no,
months
I'm
ago.
not going to do that.
I see. Okay, but yeah, either way, give it a look. See, like I recommend it. It's definitely one of the more interesting, creative, and funny things I've seen this year for sure.
Yeah, no, nothing against seeing the Barbie movie, anything like that. I just haven't made it to many movies recently at all.
No, no worries.
So,
It's okay.
um,
But it's like
yeah, and I was like, should I watch the "I'm Just Ken" song, or is me having a vague awareness of it good enough? And I think me having a vague awareness of it was good enough. I mean, I still got the joke.
yeah, like you don't need to see the movie to get the I'm Just Ken. Even I think I'm Just Ken is on like that clip is on YouTube right now, so you can
I'm
even
sure
see
I
it
can
there.
find it on YouTube.
But
I just was a little too lazy to actually go looking for it.
yeah, but yeah, go
Um,
watch the movie. I know it's streaming and you can rent it. It's out.
yeah, yeah. I will do that, because I will take most any excuse to stare at Margot Robbie for a couple hours.
Hey now.
Um, and yeah, this one, it starts out with Pete just kind of wandering around backstage at SNL. He's got a cake,
Yeah.
to I guess to give to the people, and he comes across a couple people saying like, oh, hey, he's over here, and and
Yeah.
they're talking about how his show Bupkis didn't do so hot.
Yeah, like why is he even here? He only has one character. Like basically stuff we say on this podcast.
Yeah, kind of. Um, and yeah. So it was funny. And then he starts singing, this lament very similar to the "I'm Just Ken," just and yeah, talking about how people know him for stuff and other than his comedy,
Yeah,
and how
like
his show wasn't terribly successful, and
yeah. Yeah, basically bringing up the fact that him and Jost brought that Staten Island ferry
yeah.
that I guess they were going to turn into a venue, but I doesn't seem like that's going to be happening anytime soon.
I don't know. Is that still the plan? I haven't been
Uh
following the blow by blow of that.
yeah. No, I don't know. I have no idea.
Maybe it's just a big tax shelter. Who knows?
Yeah.
And he talked about how he's of course known very much for his love life, and there was a line there alluding to like he can't legally say Kanye's name.
Yeah, because like people online called him Skeet, like Skeet David.
Okay,
And for those that don't know, the word Skeet is a crude, kind of slang word for like ejaculation. So people were calling him Skeet David, or for Skeet Davidson, for because of guys whose name he can't say legally. And of course, then they flash a picture of Kanye West, alluding to the fact
right.
that he it was banging out Kanye's ex Kim Kardashian.
But I mean, have they had a lawsuit or anything like that? Or
I don't remember anything being like that, but
okay,
yeah, I guess it's like a thing where he can't really mention it, or else you'll incur the wrath of Kanye, and I guess he
yeah, I
didn't
mean
want to
that
do
makes
that.
sense. Maybe he was just exaggerating by saying he legally couldn't. And again, I didn't investigate this because when Pete Davidson stopped being a cast member of SNL, I was like, great, now I never have to know anything else about his love life, and I've held true to that pledge.
Yes, now we know everything about Jada and Will's love life.
Yes, yes.
That's right.
Yes, everything as I said on Twitter earlier this week. Everything I've ever learned about Jada Pinkett Smith has been against my will.
Your Will. I see what you did there.
Oh, geez, I didn't even mean it like that. Hey, I'm more clever than I thought.
Heyo.
But I liked when they were showing like some fake tabloids, and we're seeing like Pete dating Flo from the Progressive commercials
Yes.
and Lois from Family Guy. I thought that was cute,
Right. And yeah, so
and nice production value on this too.
yeah. It had some nice little dance numbers.
Hmm.
It at one point he says Pete assemble, like how there's different Kens, there are different Pete's. We
Right,
see Mikey Day coming out as first update Pete, like when
right,
his first weekend update. We have Met Gala Pete, we have Bowen dressed as him, and we
yeah.
have Devin Walker as Black Pete.
Yes, and he's like, Black Pete, really?
Yeah. And
Yeah, it was cute. I liked it.
yeah. And yeah, it's a cute little pre-tape about
Yeah,
Pete and like how he knows. I mean, it's kind of like his show Bupkis, how he knows everybody's talking about him and saying things about him and what they think of him.
yeah. Have
And
you watched any Bupkis?
I have not. I think I watched
All I've watched was like the clip with John Mulaney where they talked about how they were like they had done a Freaky Friday, and so Mulaney went to rehab, and which was cute.
yeah, that was cool. It's like them making life imitating art type of thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, like I've heard people say mixed things about it. Some people say some episodes are better than others, but like for whatever reason, I just haven't sat down to watch it. I think I'm like a lot of people where I'm kind of burnt out on Pete. I mean, I know he's like a cool dude
Yeah,
and he's funny, but like it seems like all the things about the tabloids about his life and everything. Now he's commenting about all that. It just seems like I know way too much about Pete. I know
yeah.
more than I want to
You
know.
need a little break.
Yeah,
You need to detox from Pete a little bit. I get it. I get it.
yeah, but I mean,
I'm
but
kind
yeah,
of the same way.
yeah, but I mean, I feel like I should watch it because Edie Falco's great and Bobby Carnival and Pesci are great. So maybe I should
Yeah,
give it a look see. But I was like,
it'll
maybe.
be there when you're ready for it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anything else to say about I'm Just Pete?
Not really. Yeah, I
Okay.
thought this was so so.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was cute, but not much beyond that. But it was cute. I'm sometimes wary of folks like playing themselves in SNL sketches and it being more about their public persona. In this case, I think it was probably valid. So
Yeah, and like also they've kind of done this before in the past where they take something that's trending and like Pete, like last time when Pete made the that Squid Game video on
hmm
the with Rami Malek episode. Now they're doing just Ken, just spread this into zeitgeist, and
yeah.
it's like they're kind of doing. I've seen this before, and it's like
Well, I mean that's what SNL does. I mean it's a very topical show by its nature. So
that is true. That is true.
all right, next we have the Wired autocomplete interview with it's uh, about five of the cast. They're promoting like a fake Marvel show.
Yeah,
What do they call it? Like Stark Industries or something like that?
something like that. It's like some show on Disney Plus, and I've kind of seen this sort of interview style they've done. Like you can see clips of it on YouTube. Wired has done it where they have
Yeah,
a celeb come on to promote whatever they're there to promote, and like they play this little game where they find like the most Googled question about them online, and then they
right.
answer them right there on the spot. So it's like a nice little
Yeah,
fun
yeah, and
game.
they've got a little whiteboard with stickers on it, and they peel away the sticker to reveal the question, and then they answer the question. And
Right.
it's things like, oh, Hugh Jackman age, and he's like, I'm such and so years old, and yeah, and they answer a lot of questions, and they can be entertaining. They're cute.
Yeah. It's a cute little thing. It's like, all right, this is fun.
It's a cute thing. It's a good thing. If you're looking for like 15 minutes to kill on YouTube, you could do worse than the Wired autocomplete interviews.
Absolutely. So, but in this sketch, it's them answering questions that they've been Googled about them. And at first, you see kind of innocuous questions like, "Oh, are you related to Jack Johnson?" or "Are you
Yeah.
single?" And then Pete's character gets the question, "Are I think that his character's name is Zach Elliott."
Yeah, his question is Zach Elliott the guy who lost full control of his bowels on that Delta flight and had to turn around?
Yeah.
Which is actually a thing that happened in the news. I don't know if the person that happened to is named Zach Elliott. I don't think that person's name was released. But
Oh.
yeah, apparently that did happen on a flight where some person had really severe diarrhea and
Oh.
it just, I guess, contaminated the plane. I don't know if it happened in a seat or something. I don't think I read more than the headline on this, but
Oh wow! I gotta look that up. I had no idea.
it is a real story.
Oh boy, that is my
Yeah,
nightmare.
that is a real story. I am not like fully up on all the international goings on right now, but I did uh, read this story. I read a headline on this story.
Okay, you're not up on your diarrhea on a plane news.
I'm more up on it than I am about Gaza and Israel. Sadly,
Okay. I have had it with this motherfucking diarrhea on this
on this
motherfucking.
on this Monday to Friday plane. Yeah. So yeah, the joke is it very quickly develops as all the questions he's getting are just variations on that, and they play the black box recording, and he's like, oh hey yeah. So this is it's kind of similar to that the Waffle House fight sketch that they did last year, where they're just sort of a novel news story, and they just built a sketch out of it.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the sketch was. Man, I thought it was a little weak, just because it just seemed to like the whole thing was about this, about him having explosive diarrhea on the plane, and then they just kind of hit
Yeah.
on that note over and over again, and It's just them focusing on, hey, you had explosive diarrhea on this plane, poo poo.
I feel like I might have liked it more if like everybody was getting awkward questions. Like
Yeah.
because like a thing I always wonder about. Well, I don't wonder so much, but like whenever I watch the Wired autocomplete interviews, they're always like, "Oh, these are the most frequently Googled questions about us," and I'm like, and yeah, nobody ever gets the you know such and so famous actor actress nude. I mean, that I think would be funny if like
Mm.
all the questions were like porn searches for them or something like that. Because like obviously they filter that out to get rid of the more offensive or mean things or inappropriate things about them.
Yeah, they get out all those butthole questions and whatnot. They're like,
Exactly.
get the
Exactly.
nice things.
Right. Right. But I think it would be very funny if you just saw like an actor or an actress and they were just like, oh well, okay, these questions are pervier than I would have expected. And it would have been fun if like all of them were getting awkward questions to some degree, and that would have given us more variety in the sketch. I think.
Yeah, and I think that's my issue with the sketch is there was no real escalation. Like it's them just kind of
Hmm.
going back to him having explosive diarrhea on the plane, and then
Yeah,
I think at one point they cut to the black box that happened on the
yeah, they do.
plane, so that switches things up a little bit,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really kind of go anywhere like really. And then
Were you expecting him to have like explosive diarrhea at the end of the sketch or anything
yeah,
as the
maybe
topper?
yeah, something like that would have.
That could have escalated it, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, I kind of did like the way it ended because it ends with the guy, Zach Elliott, getting frustrated that he gets like yet another question about explosive diarrhea, and then he gets up and he stands up and he points to Chloe, saying her grandma was a Nazi, and then
Yeah,
Chloe says defensively, "Hey, only during the war."
yeah.
I thought
That was pretty good. Yeah.
that was a funny line. That was a funny line, and
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
and then the sketch ends. So
Hmm.
it's like, all right, this is yeah, no escalation, but didn't kind of go anywhere. But the last,
It didn't really rise above okay for me either. I did find it interesting on a technical aspect because like unlike the real Wired autocomplete interviews, they aren't peeling off the stickers. I guess because that could too easily go wrong in a live show. So they're just holding up cards, and I guess they were switching out their cards because they never seem to have more than one in their hand at a time.
right?
So I guess they must have been like handed new cards off camera or something like that.
I guess
And
so. Yeah,
I'm just very curious about that, about how they made it work technically and how they never, they always had to make sure that cards weren't upside down or anything like that. Or,
yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
yeah,
But yeah, I thought the sketch was okay,
yeah.
but
The
nothing.
fact that I'm wondering about this stuff probably proves it wasn't all that great as a comedy sketch.
Yeah, like I don't hear you talk about laughs in the sketch that much.
No, not so much. When I start wondering about the technical aspects, yeah, it's maybe not making me laugh as much as it should. So maybe that's a good indicator of how good a sketch it was.
Very telling, very telling. And yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. In September, this was based on a real story where somebody like was on a Delta flight from Atlanta to Barcelona. Oh shit!
Oh
And
well,
like
that sounds like a long flight.
yeah, like 2 hours into it, the person lost control of their bowels and they had to go back to Atlanta. Woof.
That that's like an 11 on a 1 to 10 scale of embarrassment. My
Yeah,
God.
it was pretty bad. The vanilla scented disinfectant used on it only made it smell like vanilla shit. DW.
Okay, all right. We don't need to
Okay,
go this far into it.
I'm not naming names. I'm just saying.
Okay, no, I'm
Oh,
just saying I didn't need that detail.
oh, there are pictures. Oh,
There aren't really pictures, are there?
I could send them to you, but
No,
okay,
do not.
all right,
Please do not.
all right.
I will change my email address, sir.
Okay, all right, fine. We won't. Next up, secretary.
Secretary. This is sort of a set in the Mad Men era, so we're seeing everybody those early '60s suits. Heidi Gardner's sort of made up as a Joan Holloway type.
Mm-hmm.
Secretary Trudy, and the
And
gag is basically she's like anticipating everything.
yeah, like part of me thinks this sketch was kind of based on. I don't know if you ever seen Suits, the
Hmm.
the USA show that's somehow making its great big
I know
renaissance.
of Suits because that's the show that Meghan Markle was on before she, married into royalty.
Yeah, yeah. But well, one of the characters on the suit is a secretary named Donna, and like basically on the show, I used to watch Suits with the wife. It's a fun little fine show,
Okay.
but like
You almost sound like you're apologizing for it.
look, I'd like to apologize for watching Suits.
My
I was
wife made me.
I was
I was trying to bond with her, like
yeah, I was a
and
younger man. I didn't know any better, and
and there was a little too much incest in Game of Thrones. So,
so I had to cleanse the palate with some Suits.
but Suits isn't like a period show like Mad Men was, right?
It's not. No, it takes place in the modern day, but it has this character named Donna, who's like a really good secretary to the point that she always anticipates what her boss wants
Okay.
before the boss asks for it. Like she's always on top
Okay.
of it. So part of me
All
thinks
right.
maybe this was based on that. So maybe they can.
So maybe it was a mashup between Suits and Mad Men. Wow, this sketch has layers.
Yeah, baby.
So yeah, so we have Heidi as Secretary Trudy, and she's anticipating all these things, and it just becomes progressively less and less impressive. Like, her boss is like, "Hey, we need to order more toilet paper," and
He's
yeah,
like, yeah, it's not as impressive when you say something. You could have guessed what the next words was paper.
yeah, yeah. Um,
But yeah, but there's also like some absurdity in it, like when
mhm.
it's like I said, it's Pete and Bowen walking into the office, and Bowen's character's name is Mr. Coogan, and then Pete says, "Oh, it's a good pleasure to meet you, Mr. Coogan," and then Bowen says, "Please, Mr. Coogan was my father. Call me Alana."
Mhm.
Like a little like a little bits of absurdity here and there. Like at one
Yeah,
point, Keenan comes in, introduces Trudy to the new guy played by James Austin Johnson. And then Trudy says like, "Oh, I detect an accent. Can I guess where you're from?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure. Georgia? No. Boston? No. Georgia? No.
yeah.
I think I'm done meeting her."
And I liked how he just said, "I think I'm done meeting meeting Trudy now,"
Yes,
and then he just left. That was kind of funny.
right. And then it gets more and more absurd, like when Pete says, "Oh, would you order Mr. Chugan a whore?" And it's like,
Yeah,
"No, no. I was going to say a car."
yeah.
It's like,
And
"Oh,
she's like, "Oh, that's what you're into. Okay, all
yeah,
right." She's like, and then she's like, "Okay, we've got a Cadillac ready for you to sleep with."
yes." And then he said, "No, actually, Trudy, I want you to just sit here and look sexy. Can do." And
Yeah,
then she sits down really hard on the desk to the point that she breaks it and
she
falls down.
crashes into the desk. The desk falls apart, and then
Yeah,
they say, and her top falls off.
yeah, like almost like Molly Shannon esque. Like
Yeah,
like I
and
want
and weirdly, like they say her top falls off, and then they cut back to it, and then her top is off, and I was like, were we supposed to see her top fall off? I'm kind of confused if that was supposed to be on camera or not.
yeah, I'm not sure why her top had to fall off for the joke to work. I thought like her falling down was enough, and like she really falls down hard on that desk. Like I almost thought she kind of,
Yeah.
you can see like Bowen almost thought she hurt herself. Like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like
Oh, I'll have to watch that again. Yeah.
Bowen looks a little concerned, like how hard she hit that desk, or hit the ground.
Yeah. Okay. Odd sketch.
Very odd, but I respect Heidi's commitment to the character and the falling down.
Yeah. I
I'll
mean,
give it that.
it was a good showcase for Heidi. I just yeah, it was just I guess a little more weird than funny, and it ended in an odd way. And yeah, and it was like I'm not sure why her top is falling off. I'm not, and
Yeah,
suddenly Heidi's in like this old fashioned bra and she's covering herself up,
yeah, and then like
and I'm not sure if that was supposed to be on camera and or not. I honestly couldn't tell if there was a technical screw up or not. I mean, I was just very confused by that.
yeah, I mean, and the sketch ends with Pete confessing he has feelings for Trudy and how he
Yeah,
wants to get lost in her butt,
yeah, yeah,
and how she needs to smoke a fatty to prove she's a real one. And yeah, this I mean, this sketch has 10-to-1 vibes all over it. I'm surprised it
yeah.
stayed this real.
It was very random. I was like, are we getting towards the end of the show already? What?
What time is it?
Yeah, checking the time. It's yeah, it's odd.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate this sketch, but it's definitely wow. It's an odd
I
one.
didn't either, but yeah, it seemed like it was missing something.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, but yeah,
Um,
but not didn't hate it, but it's just like,
yeah.
this is an interesting one.
All right. Now, next we have another pre-tape from Please Don't Destroy, the original Princes of Comedy, and it's our friends Melvin, Jake, and Ice Spice returning to the
Yeah,
show
the PDD
with
boys.
yeah, yeah. And Pete Davidson comes by during SNL writing night. These sketches all take place on SNL writing night.
Right.
It's amazing how eventful SNL writing night always is.
Yeah, absolutely. So like Pete comes in, and the boys are watching, just happen to be watching some of Pete's old sketch comedy, and then they show what looks like actual footage of Pete doing stand up at the old Broadway comedy club in the city.
Oh, it is 100% actual footage. I mean,
Yeah,
it is teenage Pete Davidson. Yeah,
yeah. It is
and
him.
talking about how he likes cougars, and the punchline is that they're 21 because Pete's a teenager. Ha ha.
Yes, get it.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and then of course that's when Ben is like, hey, we used to start off doing stand up too when we were young, and then they
Mhm.
show clips of them doing stand up as like grade school age kids at Def Comedy Jam.
Def Comedy Jam. We got Ben, Smoke Dog Marshall, J.D. Higgins, and Big Mart Mart.
Big Mart.
And yeah, and it's cute. It's funny. They're talking about substitute teachers
Yeah.
and things like that. Very very kid type subjects.
Yes, substitute teachers that come in thinking they all that. I'm like, yo, you need to sit your big ass down and put on a movie.
Yeah, yeah, and very well cast kids as the young Please Don't Destroy boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the kids got the energy, and yeah, like I think at one point, one of the Smoke Dog Marshall poured himself
Yeah,
a glass of apple juice, and
yeah,
he's like, my girl's always like, "Oh, Ben, Smoke Dog, you don't pay attention to me anymore," and I'm like, "Yeah, bitch, I got a piano recital."
yeah,
He
yeah.
crazy.
I mean, like the kid playing young Ben Marshall looks so much like him. I was like, is he related? It's
It might
yeah,
it might be his nephew or cousin or something.
yeah. I was like, I don't think any of them have kids, so yeah. But it was very amazing, and we had a John Mulaney cameo, which was fun.
I
Just
I liked how they just got the actual John Mulaney. They didn't get like a younger kid version of John Mulaney. Just
no, it's just John Mulaney. Just did a little joke of how John Mulaney has looked pretty much exactly the same for 15 years.
absolutely. I also liked how the all black audience didn't like John Mulaney's jokes at all. Like he goes into
No, he's like, and he's doing actual John Mulaney material from like New in Town. He's like, when I was a kid, I thought quicksand would be a much bigger problem as in my adulthood.
yeah.
And then he's like, I have an impression of Ice-T, and you see people getting up to leave, and he's like, yes, okay, I understand.
Yes, God bless. And like I do like how the one person, the one white guy in the audience thinks he's hilarious.
Yes, yeah, that was very funny.
He's
I
like,
mean,
quicksand.
that was very cute.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine too many brothers being into the John Mulaney.
Nah, son, we in the big Mart. I do like how there was a scene where they show big Martin as a kid,
Mhm.
pointing out the interracial couple in the audience, and he's like, "Oh, that your
Yeah,
girl?" He's like, "Oh, he ain't hitting that right."
yeah.
And then it's
And then he does like the white guy impression of a white guy.
like, "Oh, what am I gonna do with all this ass?"
Yeah,
And then as they cut to him, they show like the black girl that the white guy was with is slowly inching over towards the other black guy right next to
yeah,
him.
yeah. And I think you even hear somebody say, "Oh, it got your girl, son." um, and then Devin brings in his mom, and she's all excited to see Ben Smoke Dog Marshall.
Yeah, actually, I think it's Che, not Devin.
Oh, was it Che?
It was Che, yeah.
It was Che. Excuse me. Sorry,
Racist.
I didn't note who it was, and super racist.
Yes. And then it ends with, the original Prince of the Comedy. It does not hold up.
Yeah, this was cute, and I would agree with you. Sketch of the week for me.
I got a real kick out of it. I mean, I don't know if it's because, me growing up watching Def Comedy Jam, so like I knew all the tropes and beats of like, oh, he ain't hitting that right. You know what I'm saying? Like all that stuff kind of
Yeah.
brought me back. But like, I don't know. I thought it was still like some solid jokes in there.
Hmm.
Of course, the John Mulaney stuff was pretty funny too, and like
Yeah.
just seeing one lone white guy laughing to John Mulaney
Yeah, that was
is
cute.
hilarious.
That
Yeah,
was cute.
I got a kick out of this sketch. I thought it was pretty tight.
Yeah, and it's always nice to have an unexpected cameo from John Mulaney. So
Mm-hmm.
that's fun.
Here. Uh,
Next, we have our musical guest of the week, Ice Spice.
yeah, she did two songs in Ha Mood. Um,
Mm-hmm.
am I saying that right? And
I don't know.
oh yeah, in Ha Mood. And
Mm-hmm.
I sound so lame saying it that way.
You sound more Caucasian than me right now,
Yeah.
which I didn't think was possible.
Oh, indeed it is. In Ha Mood and Pretty Girl. One of those performances introduced by a quick surprise cameo by Ms. Taylor Swift.
So yeah, I wonder why she was there at a show where Travis Kelsey also had a cameo. Okay. Yeah.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah. I was like, okay, that's interesting. All right, cool.
Interesting.
What'd you think of Ice Spice, Darren?
Uh, eh.
Yeah, yeah, same.
I really don't have any notes. Like it's, I mean, she's a
Yeah.
decent rapper, but like both of her performances seem kind of lackluster. Like she doesn't really
It
give
seemed to
any.
be about as close to singing as you can get while you're still be rapping, you know? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, no, absolutely. She's like
It
kind of,
was it was very singy type rapping, and I was that surprised me a little bit.
yeah,
The first song was basically just about her being like a Robert Crumb style woman, and guys loving that ass,
you know,
and
I mean,
you know,
it,
and that was pretty much it.
it do be facts though.
I mean, the song it didn't do much for me honestly, but the crowd really loved it. I mean, she was getting a lot of applause at the end.
Yeah, it's weird too because she doesn't seem to be putting that much energy, or I don't want to say effort, but
No,
like,
I wouldn't say that she's a high energy performer. She seems very laid back.
yeah, she's the Todd Barry of rap.
Okay. Yeah. Tell a Todd Berry joke. A Todd Berry joke.
Dudes be loving that ass.
I'd be loving that ass.
Yeah, exactly. Like she's not really, she doesn't really dance, and she doesn't really put a lot of like, like
I mean,
yeah,
she was shaking it during the first song, but yeah, it
a
wasn't. I
little bit.
wouldn't really call it like high choreography or anything like that. But
Yeah, it's definitely kind
yeah,
of going through the motions, but the audience seems to like it. So
yeah, I'm sure
sure,
there were a lot of people there who were just there to see Ice Spice,
some
judging from the
yeah,
applause she was getting.
some
So
isoholics or whatever they call themselves,
I have no idea.
icicles. I don't know,
Icicles. Let's say icicles. That sounds
icicles.
good. Yep.
But yeah, like I really don't have much to say. I didn't write down anything for these
Yeah, me
performances.
neither. I wrote down Robert Crumb movie and a woman and song didn't do much for me, but the crowd really loved it. And then
Yeah,
for the second song, Taylor Swift introduces her.
yeah,
And other than that,
yeah, yeah,
I can't say much more than not my thing,
yeah. Same, not my
which is
thing.
fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, these shows are for the young folks, and
Yeah,
we are.
I do not expect to be the target audience for SNL musical guests anymore.
Yeah, like now when they bring out somebody like Three Dog Night or whatever, that's when you're gonna hear me. That's,
Yeah, I mean, because we were all about 1973.
oh hell's yes! What? Come on!
Let me get the top 40 from 2 years before I was born. Woo! Yeah.
Joy to the people in the deep blue sea. Joy, like forget it. Jeremiah
Anyway,
was a bullfrog.
let's move on to weekend update with Colin Jost and Michael J.
Let's do it. We haven't seen these guys in a minute.
You nearly called them fuckers, didn't you?
I want to keep it PG for the kids. Yes.
Okay, all right. So, um, yeah, we're seeing them back. Jess and Che, you pretty much know what you're getting with them at this
Yeah.
point because they've done it longer than anybody else, which still kind of boggles my mind.
Yeah. No, the two of them got good chemistry going back and forth.
Yeah.
Touching on how everybody has a hot take now on how they'd fix Palestine and what's going on with the Hamas. And I think Joe says, yeah, people are posting on every platform, social media platform, about how they'd handle the situation. Like he saw an article about it, like how they'd fix Palestine, but it was like on a Yelp review for a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah. I did notice that they seemed a little rusty. Che screwed up one of his setups.
Yeah.
About the first gay black woman in Congress. He just said the first openly black woman in Congress, which kind of a different thing. I was like, I'm almost certain that isn't right, Michael J. But
Yeah, like I noticed that
he
too, and I was
skipped
like,
over the word K in the setup, and thank God we had the caption under the photo, so we realized what the joke was supposed to be about.
yeah. I'd
Like,
like to come out now on this podcast as the first openly black male podcaster.
yeah, yeah. You are the first openly black co-host of an SNL
Yes,
podcast. I'm pretty certain.
I'm living my truth.
Yes, yes. I was like, oh, okay.
There were a couple of good jokes in there, like
Yeah,
talking about how Mia Khalifa, Playboy, cut ties with her because of her support for Hamas, and then
which I hadn't heard about at all. I
no,
was like, oh, that's interesting,
yeah,
I guess.
and
And
then
wow,
and then
okay.
yeah, and then Che going, "See, Lauren, I was googling her for work."
Yeah, that's a great line. That's a great line.
Yes, because she's a porn star. You see,
Yeah, from what I understand, yes, yes,
uh,
I've heard the name. Um, and we had Bowen Yang come on as Christopher Columbus talking about states trying to decide what to do with statues of Christopher Columbus because we just had Indigenous Peoples Day last week. Um, and he's okay with them taking statues of him down, and it's Bowen as Columbus talking about how he's discovered all sorts of things like Hot Ones and Tex-Mex and jazz because he watched the movie um, La La Land.
yeah, I was like, we're doing La La Land jokes still. And
Yeah,
all right, yeah, I mean this part, I mean his Christopher Columbus thing, I thought was, I don't know, it seemed a little.
we, we kind of know the deal now. It's Bowen comes on Update, plays a wacky character. He's been doing that ever since he came on as the iceberg that hit the Titanic.
Yeah, but that seemed like more focused when he was doing that. This one is it seems
Yeah,
kind of aimless a little bit. Like I'm trying to figure out like the direction he's going or what he's trying to say. And it's just like him talking about how he discovered things like you said, like
yeah.
Tex-Mex and jazz. And I was like, all right, so where's this kind of
It
going?
did go, yeah, several different places. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of, I don't know. I felt this one kind of petered out. Like it didn't really have. It wasn't very that strong a concept.
Hmm.
So I was like, all right, I see what he's doing there, but it's like, uh, I don't know where are we going with this.
Okay, so you wanted Bowen to have nothing in the show then. Okay, I
I
get it.
didn't say
Bowen
that.
hater.
I did.
Bowen hater.
I didn't say that. I didn't directly say that.
You
All
didn't you implied it.
I did. Well,
It was in your heart.
this isn't going to bode well for my spaceship uh, recap for that sketch when it comes up because ooh. But
Okay. We also had, let's see,
we
they
had
talked about a skeleton that's rewriting the history of syphilis. They
yes,
said that the skeleton is better known by its stage name, Russell Brand,
heyo,
which,
yeah, and we actually have
yeah.
we had a bit of a joke swap here too. With
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. They talked about ebony alerts, which are apparently a new thing for when a black child goes missing.
yeah, like Che
Uh,
introduced it, and then he gave it right back to Jost to say these jokes.
yeah, he said, "What more in this story is Cullen Jost," and Jost is like, "Oh no, come on, don't make me do this." And just he's very good at pretending he's like just doing or seeing those jokes for the very first time.
Very much so.
Which of course he isn't because rehearsed television show, but
Right, and so
but it still has enough spontaneity that it reads well.
yeah, absolutely. So Jost goes into the joke talking about the ebony alerts about how when black children go missing, and then he
Hmm.
says, "I'll save you some time. They're not with their fathers."
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah, yeah,
wow.
yeah. And then the second joke he has to do because it's unless it's not truly uncomfortable unless he has to do multiple somewhat racist jokes, where he's like, "Yeah, and the authorities better find him before I do," and then they cut to a picture of Jost holding a baseball bat, which
Wow.
wow,
Wow.
wow, which always fun seeing Jay make Jost feel uncomfortable.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then they had some other pretty good jokes, like how somebody in Texas caught a 280-pound fish, and like everything else that was caught in Texas, it was immediately bussed back to New York City.
yeah,
Ooh.
and joke about the second largest Hindu temple in New Jersey because it did something terrible in a previous life. Which,
Uh,
I mean, look, it made me laugh. I'm from Jersey, but it made me laugh.
yeah, I gave the chuckle, but this Jersey slander must end. But it gave me a bit of a chuckle, I guess.
Yeah, and it's still a good joke. And lastly, we had Keenan as Deion Sanders for some reason.
Well, yeah, because Deion Sanders is in the news because he's coaching at the University of Colorado.
Oh, okay.
And
All right.
yeah, it's a big deal. Like he's definitely bringing more heat onto that team, and like more eyes are on it. Like the media is like kind of focused on them more. But yeah, I mean, with Keenan, you kind of know what you're getting. It's Keenan kind of
Yeah.
hamming it up and just doing what Keenan
Yeah.
does.
I kind of half tuned out because I'm just not very interested when Keenan comes on Update and plays sports figures.
Uh,
Partly just because I don't really know or follow sports, so I'm just not going to get the references.
yeah,
I thought it was cute that they flash back to like when Deion Sanders was on SNL in '95 and apparently did a musical number, which I don't remember at all.
yeah. I mean, you can go back and watch it, but it's weird. Like he wasn't even the
I will not.
okay. But yeah, because like around that time when he hosted in '95, he wasn't even the musical guest for this episode. For that
Right.
episode he hosted, it was like him and Bon Jovi. Jersey,
What a combo!
what a
Wow.
winning combo! But yeah, like at that time, he had an album out. Like he made some album and a song called "Must Be the Money," which was like his take on an old song, "Must Be the Music." And he
Uh huh.
performed that song on that episode, like towards the very end. But it was kind of lip synced, and it was I don't know. From what I don't remember that episode, but from what I've heard, a lot of people say it's one of the worst episodes of SNL ever.
Okay.
But yeah, it is weird that they kind of flipped back to that uh his time on
We're reaching back like 28 years to just bash him
yep.
for that. Okay. All right.
And yeah, and again with this part of with Keenan basically just kind of being Keenan, talking. He asks Colin, to name all the other undefeated teams, and Colin does, and it's just like a lot of quick little Keenan quick talk, and it's
Yeah.
fine. It's like stuff he's done before, like when he played that Donkey Kong character on
Uh huh.
the Anna de Armas episode. It's like, oh, this is
Yeah.
kind of what Keenan does. So if you like what Keenan
Yeah.
does, you'll like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's pretty much it for update. A decent update, not wonderful, nothing big to write home about. I'd say the highlight for me was probably just being forced to do the jokes about the ebony alerts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quote unquote forced.
Haha, forced. You didn't. No one forced him to do nothing. He loved it.
Nah, he loved it because he's got that racism in his heart.
Joe's power.
Next we have spaceship, which did is it just me or the sketch names for this week like really super generic?
Very much so. Yeah, just
Secretary, spaceship, beach J, roadhouse bar.
yeah, just the minimal thought being put into these titles.
Yeah, they are just the most generic sketch names ever.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
like this. They didn't even name it Marley or anything. It's just spaceship.
yeah, so we got a spaceship, Artemis 5 in 2024, but it's like it's like the Starship Enterprise, but legally distinct from the Starship Enterprise because the Starship Enterprise is the legal property of Paramount.
Mm,
So yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, so we see this this spaceship that's captained by Michael Longfellow. In a
hmm
nice little role, and his crew is Heidi Gardner, who's like half android, has like this.
she's like a Sawyerama robot basically. She's wearing like this bodysuit that makes her look all silvery, and I was pretty impressed with that costume.
Yeah, that's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and she's like wearing contacts too, and I'm like, damn, you're breaking out the contacts for a live show?
damn, homie. And yeah,
Yeah,
we see Feynman and Marcello and Pete as part of the crew, and they're about to be attacked by a warship. And
right.
just as they're about to be attacked, Bowen Yang comes onto the ship as Marley, who used to
Marley.
work there.
He used to work there. Yeah.
His name is Marley. He used to work there.
And he just keeps telling everybody that, and he's like, "Oh, this is so different. It looks so different now. This console used to be over here." And oh, do you and Pete? He recognizes Pete because Todd is the guy who still works there, and Todd was the young guy during Bowen's day, but now he's the old guy of the office.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
finally they throw him out the airlock.
Yeah, this sketch this one really seemed aimless, like directionless. Like I was halfway, I was like, all right, where is this going? What's happening? Because it seems this feels like something Bone has done before, where
Hmm.
like he comes in as this character with an odd voice, he says his name, and
Yeah.
like a sentence, another sentence, like Garrett, I'm Garrett from Hinge. I'm
Hmm.
Marley. I used to work here, and then
Yeah.
he just repeats that
I
over and
mean,
over again.
that's always comedy gold where somebody announces their name and their character trait right off the bat.
Yeah, it's like almost like a reoccurring character, but this is the first time we're seeing this character, and it's not really a reoccurring character.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like he keeps
It's kind of like Emily Latella, the woman who mishears the news. It's kind of like that. If they
yeah,
were like announcing her character trait along with,
yeah,
yeah.
and he just keeps
So
repeating the fact, "Oh, I used to work here." Like that was like a catchphrase, but it's never that funny. And
no, no, it didn't. This one didn't really catch fire. It was just there.
yeah, like, and it's like you said, like at the end, like they're getting attacked by a warship, and I think one of the lasers from the warship disables the bay door, so somebody has to go out and like fix it manually, which of course spells
Yeah.
death. So Marley volunteers to go do it, and then he gets sucked out
Who
into
used to
space.
work there?
He used to work there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he gets sucked out into space, and he sees an alien floating by. It's like, oh hey alien, I'm Marley. I used to work there. And
Yeah.
it's, yeah,
And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
this really kind of goes nowhere, and it's not memorable, and it's like,
least favorite sketch of the night.
yeah, I'd say so.
Okay.
This sketch was kind of
All right.
whatever.
Yeah, it was kind of whatever for me too.
Mm.
Again, I think I was more impressed by the technical aspects,
Yeah,
like Heidi's costume and the contacts,
it looks
the
good.
silver contacts.
Yeah, it looks
Because I was
good.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like a Michael Bay movie. It looks great, but there's
it
nothing.
looks legally distinct from Star Trek.
Yes,
So,
that's right.
so congratulations for that.
That's right. No lawsuit here.
Nope, nope. Next, we have Beach Day with a bunch of friends at the beach. Andrew Dismukes has just been buried in the sand. They give him sand boobs, which always hilarious,
Yeah, we see
especially when you get those little starfish pasty things.
hilarious. Yeah. So yeah,
Hilarious.
so in this sketch we see he's getting buried by Devin and Marcelo and Sherman and
Yeah.
newcomer Chloe Trost.
Yeah, yeah. This is like I think her first official sketch.
Yeah.
First time she popped up in the show. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
And yeah, all those people are really good at burying people in sand.
absolutely. And then off to the side we see Pete and Ego, who are a couple, and Pete's talking about how he inherited his grandmother's bean farm.
Yeah, and
And
he's like, yeah, I know it's what Nana would have wanted.
right.
And they've just finished burying Andrew Dismukes in the sand, and Ego goes off to grab her camera so they can get a picture of him. And then Pete gets a phone call, and he finds out that a tornado has wiped out his entire bean farm.
Yeah. And like everybody's sad, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, this is terrible, this is horrible." And Dismukes, who's buried in the sand, is like, "Oh my god, I can't imagine
Yeah,
what you're going through."
buried up to his neck.
Buried up to his neck.
But
What I say?
yeah,
Is that
I'm just clarifying. I'm
okay?
just painting a picture. I'm painting a word
I know.
picture for the people.
Theater of the mind. I get it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, so Dismukes is like, "Oh my god, it's terrible, it's horrible. I can't imagine what you're going through, man. It sucks." And then
yeah,
Pete's like, "Yeah, I think I want to go. I should go check out the farm and see what's going on
yeah.
there."
See what's left. And then
And
he's like,
then
yeah, okay, we will leave as soon as we get this picture.
right, and like it becomes more apparent that like Dismuke's character is, you know, he's sad for his friend, but it's more important that he get this picture of him buried up to his neck
Yeah, I mean,
first
because
before
they've
they go.
spent all day burying him in the sand, so he wants a picture to commemorate it. Of course.
Right.
I mean, I get where he's coming from.
It's like, yeah, it'd be a wasted day if they don't get a picture of this.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
that would be the real tragedy of the day.
the weird thing is, like, Pete got a phone call saying about his grandma's farm being destroyed, and he has
Yeah.
the phone in his hand, so he has a camera, so he can take a picture of him right there and then.
You know what? I didn't even think of that.
Right? I,
Holy crap! You're absolutely right.
Like,
This sketch is based on a lie.
that's what I'm talking about. Like, the whole thing is based on,
I did think it was a bit of a reach. I was like, wait, who has to go back and get a camera in 2023? But
right? That's what I'm saying. I was like, I honestly just thought about that just now. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Everybody has a camera on them at all times on their
yes,
person.
you're absolutely right.
Like, Pete has a
And
camera.
it's not like you ever fill up all the photos on your phone.
Yeah,
I mean, that was true in like 2006 or something.
yeah,
But
exactly. When we're all using disposables and shit. But yeah, no. Pete has a camera right there in his hand. He could just take a picture right there and be like, all right, let's go. Uh, all right, yeah. I guess I debunked this whole sketch.
you really did. This myth is officially busted.
Oh.
I mean, my God.
Should we even bother to talk about the rest of the sketch now?
I don't think so. No, I mean, I appreciated this because it was a little bit of Andrew Dismukes-esque weirdness. I don't have writing credits for this, but I'm sure Dismukes had a hand in writing this because it just seems like him all over.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is has his fingerprints all over it. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, so like it's basically this mix being like, hey man, let's just get this picture first. Then we spent all day here burying me up to my
yeah,
neck in sand, and then it comes out that this mix kind of insisted that they do this to him, like, and
yeah,
he
yeah,
started screaming at them, and so then Ego comes back with the camera. Pete tells him the news, and then Pete says, "You know what? I think this thing that happened to my mom's farm, put things in perspective. Tells me what I really want." And
yeah.
I guess he proposes to her.
He
Like,
proposes it without actually saying the words,
yeah,
which is a little odd, but okay.
yes, and then they kiss, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's so sweet." And
Yeah,
then yeah, then I think it ends with Dismeek saying, "All right, so I guess we're not getting the picture." And then
yeah,
it just ends. It's like this sketch felt really incomplete. It really felt like kind of
yeah, yeah, kind of,
yeah, it kind of felt like
kind
half
of.
done. And now with this big gaping, you know,
Conceptual hole in the
yeah,
center. I
I
mean, my
found
God, what the hell, man?
that's right. You've been taken down, SNL. Boom, debunked.
Take that, Dismukes.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
More like Dispukes.
all right. Well,
um,
we'll workshop that.
yeah, no. I did like the visual of him like trying to give Pete heart to heart while he's buried up to his neck in sand,
Yeah,
and
that
he's
was
like,
yeah,
and he's like, Pete, come down here, and and
yeah,
he's like, look, I know it's a really rough time for you, and but your grandmother would want you to take a picture of me buried up to my neck in the sand. I don't remember if he actually said that, but he could have.
yeah. No, no. I that part I liked. I like this Muke's performance in it. I like how he's kind of
Yeah,
playing like a little smarmy and a little bit more. Hey, I'm
yeah,
so sorry about what you're going through, but this me getting a picture of me buried in my neck in sand is more important right now. So if we could
yeah,
have that
yeah.
done before we go do your
And I
thing,
like how it gradually comes out that he kind of browbeat everybody into doing it. Nobody else really wanted to do it,
right?
but Andrew is saying like, "Oh no, you all insisted on this,"
Yeah, yeah,
and they're like, "We literally did not."
yeah. So like it's almost it has things I like in the sketch, but yeah, overall it doesn't quite get there.
Yeah, it never really caught fire.
Yeah. Speaking of catching fire, Glam Gina. I
China. This was some fun. This was a fun bit of weirdness. I think this was my second favorite outside of the "Please Don't Destroy" sketch.
I will agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one we have Sarah Sherman going to the gynecologist, played by Pete.
Yeah.
Pete, of course, is the handsome gynecologist all the ladies are thirsting after. And
Yeah.
yeah, so Pete checks her out down there, and he's like, "Oh, dude," and he says, "Yo, dude, did you put makeup down there?"
Well, if Pete Davidson was a gynecologist, I feel like he would be saying "yo, dude" a lot.
I
So
really do. Yeah,
I that checks out for me.
bro, what's up with the makeup?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, we find out that she is using this product called Glam Gina, which is makeup for your downstairs area.
Right. And it goes into this commercial, and then yeah, people, and then like Chloe pops out saying like, "Yeah, Glam Gina, now my snatch can look snatch," which that surprised me. I didn't know you could say snatch in referring to that lady part on TV.
Maybe it's one of those things where like you can say it once, and I'm sure the fact that they're doing it well past midnight helps.
Yeah, that's very true.
I don't know if we're going to see this sketch on a primetime SNL special anytime soon.
No, no, I don't think so.
Just for the language.
Yeah,
Yeah, and yeah, we find out that Sarah's character has given her vagina quite the makeover.
yeah. Like I think at one point,
'Cause-
I mean, the part I like the most is when Pete reads the box of
mhm.
Glamgina and he says,
He reads the box.
"Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that." But yeah, he says, "Limp lip plumping gloss," and you can hear
Yeah,
some when he says that, you can hear somebody audience going like, "Oh,"
yeah. Um,
an audible
I like
groan.
how yeah, and he at one point pulls out like a wig that is like just pigtails.
Yes, absolutely.
um, I mean, it's kind of funny because they, of course, leave the makeover to your imagination. They just sort of describe it.
Right.
Um, I like how they say, when it's time to remove the makeup, you just spray some Windex on it and go to town.
Yeah, and of course Pete's like, "Don't do that." And yeah, we have
Yeah,
all the other cast members kind of pop out of nowhere. Like Ego pops out of
I think
nowhere.
every other woman on the show pops up.
Yeah. At one point, Pete goes to like a cabinet to get like a
Yeah,
cortisone shot or something, and then he opens the cabinet and Chloe Trost is in there. Boom.
new Chloe in there. Yeah, and yeah, kills it.
Yes. Heidi comes out saying how it's not feminist to make up your down there parts to impress a man.
to,
Uh,
to impress the cute gynecologist, and
exactly.
he's like, and I like how Pete goes, "Look, I'm not even interested. I'm married," and he like holds up his ring finger.
Right.
um,
Yeah. And then I think Ego says, "Oh, you're married," says the guy staring at her vagina right now.
yeah, it was so bizarre. I kind of liked it. It
Yeah.
was yeah, it was cool. I feel like Sarah definitely had a hand in writing this because who else?
Yeah.
Um,
And then of course it all ends with Keenan popping out as the janitor is saying, "Hey, me and the wife are looking to mix things up in the bedroom. So do this work on booty holes,
yes.
of course. And of course at
Which
the
I mean, cutting to the chase of the question everybody wants to know.
do it work on booty holes, and of course
Yep.
at the end we see a picture of Glamgina. It do work on booty holes.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
stay classy, SNL.
booty holes.
Yeah, but I mean, still funny. Didn't overstay its welcome. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, very much so. Wacky, zany stuff. Yeah, not a bad sketch. I
Yeah.
got some chuckles out of this. I must admit.
Yep. 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 And lastly, we have Roadhouse Bar, which we got Andrew Dismukes again. So a big show for him.
Yeah, yeah.
He's offering to buy Keenan a drink at like this Roadhouse Bar. I saw him like walking away. The sketch starts out with him in like a fringed cowboy shirt, and he's walking away from a jukebox. And I'm like, oh, are we gonna get another thing like the lollipop sketch with Don Cheadle, where they're just dancing to a
Oh,
song on the jukebox? And for a moment I was like, oh, but if they were gonna do that, they probably would have done it earlier in the show.
yeah. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, we see
Yeah.
like we see Dismukes dressed up as like a cowboy, but like a Roy Rogers type of cowboy. Like
Yeah, like picture Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future 3. That's when he first travels back to the 1885.
exactly. It's like that.
That he's that kind of cowboy.
Right. And yeah, so then he walks up to Keenan, who's a truck driver, strikes up a conversation with him, talking about how, oh yeah, I used to work down at the factory, making up to 3 figures max, and he's like,
Yeah,
3 figures? That's like $100
yeah,
max.
yeah,
But like now he's able to, but now he's found this new source of income where he can afford, he makes like 6 or 7 or up to 8 figures now. And of course,
yeah.
that new source of income is to selling pictures of his feet online.
Yes, yes. And the number of pictures he sells per day or per month keeps increasing throughout the sketch, which is kind of cute. And he's trying to kind of recruit Keenan into this.
Yeah, like it becomes more and more clear that he's trying to get Keenan to take off his shoes so he can get pictures of his feet. And
Yeah, and he's like, let me take some pictures of just a few thousand pictures of your feet and your genitals, and
yes,
he just I like how he just throws in and your genitals.
Yeah,
Um,
and then we have Pete coming in on the other side of Keenan, uh, kind of sort of making him the same offer, and then we find out the two know each other, and like, I think
they are actually father and son.
yes, and yeah,
And he's like, "Wait, I thought you said your father died at the factory." And he's like, "Oh no, he was only dead for a minute, or something like that." It gets very absurd.
yeah, it gets really absurd, a little convoluted at points, but
Yeah,
yeah, so it just basically breaks down to this father and son team wanting to get Keenan into the bathroom where they have a ring light set up to and want him to take pictures of his feet and genitals for about 8 to 12
yeah,
hours.
yeah, yeah. Which I mean, it sounds more than reasonable, really.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and then they offer him drinks like Channing Tatum whiskey and
yeah, they're ordering odd drinks throughout the sketch,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
and
yeah, and then it ends with this,
and Michael Longfellow as a very deadpan bartender saying like, "Yeah, we don't have that, and I don't know why you think we would have that." Um, yeah,
right, and then like I think there's also one point where Pete's character talks about how he used to eat trash out. He used to eat food at the trash at the factory where he
yeah,
used to work, and then I think Keenan's like, you had food at your factory, and he's like, it was a cheesecake factory.
yeah, yeah.
And of course, that plays into the fact that this whole thing has been an ad for the Cheesecake Factory. Please don't stop eating our trash. Is their tagline?
Yes,
Which I don't know.
yes. Which
That tag kind of feels like they didn't know how to end the sketch, so they made it a commercial, which SNL has done before.
they've done that sort of thing a few times. Yes,
Um,
yes, they have.
yeah, this sketch is I don't know. This
And I'm surprised they're still doing it because I believe it has resulted in a lawsuit or two.
has it?
Didn't like SafeLight? Didn't they use the branding of
Oh,
SafeLight and like SafeLight either took legal action or they threatened legal action?
yeah. Well, that was different because like that was kind of them kind of implying that their employees are pedophiles. So maybe
Yeah, like this is a good way to stalk people.
yeah.
Yeah,
So SafeHab was like, hey, whoa, don't do that, man.
yeah. But they've been doing this at least since like the Most Evil Invention sketch with The Rock,
Yeah, I guess you're right.
which turned into a White Castle commercial.
Yes. Oh, that sketch is fantastic.
Oh, I love that sketch so much.
Oh,
I love it so
it's a
much.
good one. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just Google Rock Most Evil Invention if you want some hilarity.
Oof. But yeah, this sketch kind of I don't know. It's kind of weird. This sketch. It's a little.
Yes, very much so. I mean, it's the end of the show. It's time to break out the weird stuff.
Yeah, it also gets a little convoluted, but like with them constantly mentioning.
It's also time to break out the convoluted stuff. Yes,
Yeah, like them kind of constantly mentioning all these celebrity named drinks.
it's time to break out the constantly mentioning things stuff.
Yes,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's a basic 10-1. This sketch basically.
yeah, basically is. It's a little more weird than funny, or maybe a lot more weird than
I'd,
funny.
I'd say a lot more weird than funny.
Yeah,
It's just weird for
I
weird's
mean,
sake.
I guess if you're foot fetishes, maybe
Okay?
there's a little something extra in there for you.
You are seen.
You are seen.
Uh,
And
yeah, and yeah, and then that's the episode. It kind of ends on that note, and yeah, and then that's it. I mean, overall, not a terrible not a terrible episode to start the season off
it's a
with.
very episode
Yeah,
of SNL overall, I would say.
I would say so
I
too.
mean, I didn't, not much to write home about.
Yeah, with the exception of the PDD sketch and Glamgina, everything else was and the Secretary. I'll give Secretary its props, but like everything else was kind of middling. I'd say.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, nothing real horrifying, but yeah, but nothing that really blew me away
yeah.
either. So
I mean, I would
it's
say
like, okay, we're getting our sea legs back.
yeah, we're getting there. I would say Spaceship was probably the closest it came to being total poo poo, but it other than that, it was a so episode. I think I'd say.
Yeah, and didn't get me too terribly excited, but we'll see what next week brings. Hope springs eternal.
Yes, because on next week's episode, musical guest and host Bad Bunny.
Yes, so it'll be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah, absolutely. Apparently, he's super hot right now. He's a hot new thing out on the scene with his music and his singing of the songs.
Hasn't he been on the show before as a musical guest?
He was a musical guest when Reggae John Page hosted.
Oh, okay. Well, so
So
there must have been lots of excited ladies in the house.
yes, oh my god, remember that episode? Just constant female screaming throughout every sketch.
I mean, not since the Josh Hartnett show of the early
Oh
2000s.
wow, I don't even remember that one.
I remember a lot of hooting and hollering
Oof.
during that one.
Yeah, it was just like the crowd was in heat during that.
Yeah,
It was my it's like the
you get that every once in a while when it's like real somebody who's real hot at the moment in the zeitgeist.
yeah, absolutely.
So let's see. We asked our listeners what did folks think of this, and we got a few responses. Our friend John Ananias at Burtonesque92 says the Marley on the spaceship I used to work here sketch brought to my mind the Star Trek: The Next Generation episode Relics. You know, the one with Scotty. Good episode, right? Nice and poignant. Oh, right, the SNL. Yes, yeah, I can see that comparison. And man, Jordy should have treated Scotty better. Scotty did not deserve that treatment from Jody. I am still mad about that.
Scotty doesn't know.
So, do you remember? Yeah, Scotty doesn't know. Because he'd been in a transporter buffer for 75 years, and he didn't know all the technology that had come around in the time that he was basically in suspended animation. So, do you remember this episode, Darren?
I do. All right. Well, all right, I guess
I have opinions.
I.
Okay, they find a Dyson sphere. Okay, and they find a crashed starship, the Genolan, on the surface of the Dyson sphere, and they go on there, and on the surface of on the Genolan, they find that there's a transporter in a loop, and they find who is it? It's Montgomery Scott from the original series, and he's back, and he's in the time of the next generation of the 24th century, but he doesn't quite know how things work anymore, and he's trying to help out in engineering. And then Geordi finally is like, "Hey, you're in the way." And then, Captain Picard has to say to Geordi, "Hey, stop being a dick. Be nice to the engineering legend." And eventually the Enterprise gets trapped in the Dyson sphere, and Scotty and Geordi figure a way out, and everything's hunky dory. They give Scotty a shuttle at the end. It's very nice. It's very heartwarming and nice and poignant.
I don't speak Japanese. I don't.
Well, and also they go into the holodeck and they have a recreation of the original Enterprise, which is pretty nice.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I don't. Okay. Well, I guess I'll say at this point, I don't. I don't really watch Star Trek that much at all. So everything you just
You're
said,
lost, my friend. You're
everything,
lost.
everything you just said, just went so over my head. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, all right, fine.
I'm sorry. I like the movies, the one with Chris Pine. Those were cool.
Okay, all right, yeah. No, if that's how you want to live your life,
I'm
sure.
just like, yeah, but like everything else you just said, I was like, the fuck is he talking about? What?
I'm just giving you a little context, my
All right,
friend.
no, thank you for that. Like, I appreciate the
Yeah.
history lesson, but like, yeah, you're speaking a whole nother language right there. Like,
All
I
right.
get,
Well, that was our little segment for the Trekkies.
yes. So you're welcome, Trekkies. Yes, our little Trekkie segment while Darren kind of stares off into space, confused and bewildered.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
John,
So.
John Ananias, he had more to say.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Did he? Oh, yes. Oh, okay. I didn't see the second part of his comment. Okay. Well, why don't you take that one?
He says, now, what monkey's paw did you two wish upon to make sure that we did not get a Chad sketch? And what is going to happen now? Yeah, no Chad this episode. I'm actually
No
pretty,
Chad. Yeah, I was a little surprised by that.
yeah, and then he goes on to say, this premiere was okay with some sketches I liked that didn't quite come together, and Glamgina being the funniest and having the best energy to me.
Yeah. Of the live sketches, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. As for what the monkey's paw, like that one finger is folded over on that monkey's paw.
Mm.
I think that Keenan is going to be with the show for another 20 years now.
Probably he'll
Yeah.
he'll be like Michael Caine with that show. Like he'll retire at 90.
Yes. Um, I just see a comment from our friend Boardman gets paid.
Ooh,
He's at it's either Leho the lion or Lehat he lion,
he
and
told
I don't know which one of those two I like better.
like he
But
told us how it's pronounced, but I kind of forgot. So we just make
yeah,
the same mistake over and over again. We're in a time loop.
that's true. No, we didn't really listen.
Nope.
But it's one of those two things. He says, "Happy first day of school, everybody! glad to have some SNL back, but I must say this episode was my favorite one of the year so far. And
Ah,
surprisingly heartfelt cold open and monologue. Who knew Pete had sketches in him? LOL. So
okay.
yeah, it is kind of like first day back to school because yeah, you're kind of you're seeing all your old friends again. You're
Yeah.
getting you kind of figuring out what the dynamic is for the new year, and yeah, that's a good analogy.
Right. Out of all the episodes for season 29, this has been the best one so far.
Season 29.
Oh,
Okay.
49. God damn it, I fucked up the joke. All right, well. Gah!
Can't do a second take.
Leave it in. It's the only way I'll learn.
That's right. That's right.
And our buddy Nick Storr comes in with some hot takes.
Yes.
Nick Storr saying, I think I'm ready for the next generation. This episode.
Oh, well, I just summarized the Relics episode, but okay, I'll do it again. So they find a Dyson
No,
sphere in space.
no, please don't.
Oh, okay. All right, fine.
I think I'm ready for the next generation. Oh, I see what you did there. I think I'm ready for the next generation. This episode seemed to better when the Young Guns sketches took over. The Andrew and Sarah sketch show is what I'm here for. Also, did we a sneaky joke swap in update? I'm here for that too. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. SNL doesn't seem to do like the clean sweep anymore, where they bring in like a mostly new cast. Lauren seems to favor the gradual transitions of just bringing in some new people every year, and then over the course of several years, they take over the show. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing here.
Yeah, I think we're gonna. Season 50 is right around the corner. So, like,
Yeah.
I think once we get to 50, I think that's when we're gonna see some major changes.
I think we'll be seeing more turnover after season 50. I think that is a good prediction because anybody who's in the cast who isn't contracted to stay for several more years, they've got to be saying like, well, I want to be in the cast for the 50th season. I mean, because that's a nice bit of cachet there.
Yeah,
So, and if I was a cast member, I'd probably think the same. So,
absolutely, absolutely. Okay, and so that's our episode, guys. Not a terrible way to kick off season 49, but not the strongest. I was actually kind of surprised there was no mention of like the WGA strikes or the SAG strikes in this episode, or all the all the indictments that Trump went under. There seemed to be like a bunch of kind of things that happened in between the end of last season and now that they kind of glossed over. That kind of surprised me.
yeah, I mean, I think just because SNL is such a topical show, they probably weren't real equipped to do that because they'd have to be reaching back really far. Like when Seth Meyers came back with Late Night, he did an episode long closer look just to cover all these stories that he didn't have a chance to cover over the summer. Um, yeah, SNL doesn't generally do that much. It's usually just like what's happening this week. So
Yeah, I guess so.
that didn't surprise me too much, I suppose.
Yeah, things happening this week, like La La Land.
You really didn't like that La La Land joke.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being too much of a dick, but I was just like, really, La La Land jokes again? All right. What? It's your show. You do what you want, man. But I don't know.
Yeah.
But
But
But that's our episode, guys. Thanks again for listening, as always, to this little podcast of ours. As always, you can follow us on Twitter because we refuse to call it X at SNL
mhm.
Nerds Show. Check out our Patreon at Non-Productive.com. And
Yeah,
yeah.
if you can support us, we'd really appreciate it.
Mm.
If you can afford that at all, that really does help us out and keep us going.
Truly does. It truly does. And as always, you can follow me, myself, and I on Twitter and Instagram and Spill and Blue Sky and Threads at Darren Credible. That's DARIN Credible.
And you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Trumbull Comic, TRUMBULL, and the word comic. And we will be back next week when Bad Bunny is the host and musical guest of SNL.
Yeah, Bad Bunny.
So looking forward to that. Don't know if we're going to have new episodes beyond that. New episodes of SNL, that is. We'll have a new episode in no matter what.
Yeah.
We're committed.
We are. We actually, John, you actually messaged me like an idea for a movie we could do if they don't have a new episode after the Bad Bunny episode, which I think is I was like, oh, this is I didn't even know that these two SNL cast members were in this movie. So.
Oh yes, okay, yes, I remember that now. Yes, I did bring up something, and yeah, that could work for the. We might still be in the Halloween season if they skip after next week. So we'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, in any event, we're probably going to do that one soon.
Yes.
So anyway, so we'll see you back here next week. Same SNL Nerds time, same SNL Nerds channel. But until then, nerds out.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit Non-Productive.com.